Hi everyone, in this short video, I want to quickly go over topics, specifically how to narrow a topic. I think by the time you watch this, you've probably already submitted part one of your assignment where you choose a topic. So I just wanted to go over a few ways you can narrow it in case you're still playing around with it or you want to focus it for your research. So let me share my screen here. I've just got a Word document for you to take a look at to think about how you would narrow a topic. So these are 5 points that I like to think of. So we've got geography, time period, subtopic, an issue or a problem, or a person or a group. Now, depending on which topic you've chosen from the assignment instructions, you will look at some of these or all of these. So if we go to topic A here, you have to choose either a discourse community or just a group or community you're part of and an issue that group is facing. So already you have kind of two of these narrow focus pieces already embedded in the question. So for example, if I was walking through this myself, I'm a librarian, that's a community I'm going to pick, but specifically I am an academic librarian, and this is a little bit different than if I was a public librarian. So I'd like to clearly identify that for my research topic. And an issue that maybe an academic librarian is facing, how to get full-time work, how do we get students interested in the library in a time of not only Google, but now AI, maybe focusing specifically on AI and how it's being used in academic libraries, maybe some of the issues with it, or how we can look at utilizing it properly going forward. One of my areas is also scholarly communications and copyright, so I might want to focus specifically on AI and copyright in academic library space, just as an example. For topic B, I see you've got options to do a topic related to language, types of writing, power, or education. And so for things like power, education, maybe even language, a subtopic could be really important here. So I've given the example, if you're looking at education, maybe you pick post-secondary education as an example, right? The idea with narrowing your topic and focusing it more is to prevent yourself from making these overgeneralized statements. And also when we're doing our research, you might be overwhelmed with the number of articles and books and resources that come up if you were to just write in education, right? Versus if we type in university or post-secondary education, that's a lot more specific and we'll get fewer articles and it makes it just a little bit more manageable. So just to give you some of that background reasoning on why we're talking about focusing these topics. You might want to indicate a geography for these topics, right? So language geography might matter, types of writing, maybe not, but power potentially, right? When we're talking about power dynamics, is it in politics, business, social relations? Like, what are we talking about there? And education, geography could be a important way to narrow that as well. You might want to focus on a time period with one of these. So when we're thinking about writing and language, how things evolve over time, also with power dynamics or just, power in society, politics, whatever, that can be specific to time periods as well. Maybe you're doing like police power, or who knows what you're doing there. There's so many. I'm not in the class, so I don't know what you've been talking about, but some interesting options for sure. And then issue or a problem. Again, you could look to the news for ideas on this or inspiration. Maybe if you're looking at language, you want to look specifically at the media and how certain movements or topics are described, for example. Or you can even focus on a group of people, right? So when we're talking about language, again, you need to connect all of these to yourself or your personal interest according to your assignment instructions. But when we're talking about language, is it focused on a particular group, or does a particular group use certain types of language? Is there a group we're talking about when we're talking about types of writing, power in groups for sure, and then education in groups? So for example, if you're doing education, you could focus again on librarians, faculty, students, within students, you could focus on international students, mature students, nursing students, for example. So there's lots of ways you can continue to sort of drill down to be more specific. If you're choosing one of the topics from topic group C, there's place names, indigenous ways of knowing, or generative AI. For Gen AI, I think you could probably pick, all, if not most of these, right? An issue or a problem with AI, you could probably focus on just one. There's, numerous. You could choose, copyright issues, plagiarism, the environmental impacts, right? Whatever you'd like to pick. You could focus on a particular group or that's using AI or is impacted, right? Employees or, teenagers, whoever. Maybe again, a time period for Gen AI where it's probably, I'm assuming you're doing the past 5 years or so. That's when it's become really popular for most of us. And geography could have an influence, right? Because we have different laws. So how are things being done in Canada versus Japan or the UK? Also, geography has an influence when we think about AI and technology and access to the internet, right? So just again, thinking about how these things could impact your topic. If you're choosing the place names or indigenous ways of knowing, geography here is very important. Obviously, the place names are connected to a place. Indigenous ways of knowing are connected to land. So that's going to be an important aspect for you if you're choosing that. And additionally, groups, right? So which indigenous peoples or communities are you looking at, right? We don't want to generalize things here. And same with the place names, right? And the groups that either gave them those names or were living on the land. Was there another note I wanted to make here? Oh, and maybe even time period as well, right? That could be really important, or subtopics and themes for both of these as well, right? If we're talking about place names, giving back the place names versus talking about how they've changed or colonialism. Like there's so many ways you could go with these topics. So really focusing that down. And then topic D, you could pick apparently whatever you want. So I'm not sure what topics will come up here or how popular that is. But again, just thinking about some of the ways you can focus that in order to have a clear path when you're doing your research. I will also link an additional video from colleagues at a different university library that go over some of these as well if you would like to see more examples. See you in the next video.